I spent probably 8 or 10 years, writing short fiction and sending it to quarterlies and little magazines that would pay you a penny a word, or sometimes even just copies of their little chapbook. But that's how I sort of, learned my craft, was by this painful, horrendous process of writing in your lonely little room and then sending it off and having a form letter come back rejecting it. And you just keep sending it out and it gets rejected. And that's how I sort of, cut my teeth as a writer.
A lot of people aren't getting this message. They begin by writing something good. I found way too many beginning writers are putting cart well before horse and saying, here is my marketing plan. What are you marketing? Oh, I forgot that. So once that exists, once that quality work exists, then one can take a broad view of the market.
Another thing about patience and being a young writer, I get a little worried when my students, if I have a writing student or somebody that I'm mentoring says, I want to be a writer. It's an odd paradox. It's, if you want to be a writer, I worry. If you want to write, I believe you're going to be a writer. It is something you do have to become obsessively in love with. Everything about it. Even the crappy, horrible parts of it. The waiting, the editing, the rejection, the criticism. You have to almost learn to obsessively love that, because it is going to be with you the rest of your life.
Definitely as instant as the world has become in terms of, immediate gratification with posting a blog post or tweeting something and whatnot and getting responses. Publishing a book traditionally is still a very slow process, where I signed my first book contract in April of one year, and the book didn't come out until July of the next year. And so I signed this contract in April, and I didn't even hear from my editor until October to get revisions. And then it's the slow process of getting the edits, and then getting the copy edits, and then getting the page proofs, and so on and so forth. And you have to wait through it. And it can be exciting to get out there and market your book. That fills that time period, but the advice that I've been given and that I always give is that your time really is best spent working on your next book. There's no substitute for butt in the chair typing on the keys.
You manage your time carefully, and the reason you do that is because it means enough to you. There are some folks. It's enough to want to write. For others, the ones who will find any minute of the day they can use to write, it's because you have to write, not just want to write.
And I'm kind of harsh on this topic because these are sacrifices that I had to make, and I did because the work mattered to me. It mattered enough to me to make time in my life to devote to it. And I gave up certain things. I didn't go to as many events, as many parties. I didn't work as much. I didn't make as much money. I didn't establish as secure of a financial stream for the future. But I did it because the work mattered to me. And I think, you hear plenty of stories of people who get up at 4 a.m. before their kids wake up, and they write for an hour, and those stories speak to people who are sincerely and passionately devoted to their craft and to their ambition. So if you don't have that urgent of a story to tell, then don't put pressure on yourself to keep writing. Sorry. I'm very evangelical about that thing because I just hear it all the time, I don't have time. Well, nobody has time.
I'm not necessarily doing this work for a MacArthur grant. I'm not doing this work for these big accolades. I'm doing this work because I love it. I'm doing this work because this is how I get through the day. You know, I drink my coffee, I brush my teeth, I play with my kid, I write my 1,000 words. You know, and that's part of, I don't know, how I breathe, how I keep my sanity, how I personally have an understanding of this crazy world and my part in it. You know, it's by seeing what I think on the page, and as soon as I realized that that was more important to me, like understanding the fact that I'm really privileged to be able to do this work that I love every day, and that's not something that everyone can say, it became a lot, at least easier, and the successes then that I've had were less of a thing that I expected. Like, this is not something that the world owes me. That this is something that I got because I work for it. But it is something that requires a lot of patience. Like, it will happen. You have to keep working hard. You have to keep working hard, and you have to be nice. You have to be kind.